Shove it, man! Alright, it's time for some Hawk talk. Just a quick video to talk about one of the most memorable things from the early days of TNA, which doesn't really get much of a mention nowadays. This is one of those things which TNA did pretty well, so it's not a negative video today from the Hawk. So what happens when you take 3 stars from the Attitude Era? Well, one of the guys is a stretch, and you put them together. It's the faction known as Free Live Crew. It all started out with K-Quick and Road Dogg. They were briefly a tag team in the WWF before 2000 ended. It was alright, but the Road Dogg was having a lot of backstage problems and he was released in 2001 with K-Quick shortly following him out the door. K-Quick, now renamed Ron the Truth Killings, is in TNA, and he briefly held the TNA NWA Heavyweight title, becoming only the second man to do so, and the first black man to do so. But things quickly change when a wild Slapnuts appears.
Double J, Jeff Jarrett.
And Jeff beat him for the belt. Truth was quickly forgotten about and disappeared from TNA screens. Meanwhile, the Road Dogg was also in TNA now, going as BG James, but I like to call him the Mold Dog for this period in time. He also feuded with Slapnuts, turned heel, and feuded with his father. And then he disappeared from TV screens too. The final man in this group would be Konnad. He was raging a war against the TNA X division because he thought they were copying Lucha Libre. Nobody cared about it as much as Konnad did. So basically, none of the 3 guys we're talking about today were doing anything important. So we start our video today with some casual racism. The Harris twins were told they had to team up with Ron the Truth Killings. One of them announced that he would not get in the ring or tag with their kind. They also said they had a problem with Ron the Truth Killings playing the race card every time something went wrong for him.
Second of all, let me make this point very clear. I will not tag with their kind. You know exactly what I mean. I will not get in the ring and tag with their kind.
What the hell you mean, their kind?
This united Konnad, Ron the Truth Killings, who had a problem with what the Harris boys just said, and a match between the 2 teams was set. The finish of this match was Mold Dogg interfering and hitting a Harris twin with a chair. This action seemed pretty random at the time. This led to a few weeks of pre-recorded segments with the 3 guys, and it all sucked. It was a horrible start, I'm not going to lie to you. The Mold Dogg pretended he was Mike Tenay and interviewed Truth and Konnad. It was supposed to be a comedy interview. He asked the Truth why black people are obsessed with fried chicken, and he asked Konnad about Taco Bell. But the stereotypes weren't done because the Road Dogg was accused of being a hillbilly living in a trailer. The interview ended with Konnad saying he had something for them all to smoke. Then the following week we got a skit of Road Dogg pretending he's Don West trying to sell playing cards. It's all deep south humour, and yet again I don't understand any of the references. I guess you could find it funny if you're from one of the southern states, but not the Hawk. To me it just isolates a massive section of your audience. Another segment had them reviewing the looks of the TNA superstars. It wasn't funny because all their references were about things and celebrities that no one's ever heard of. So this comedy was a big miss for me. I never had any idea what they were talking about. At least they seemed to be having fun together. After a few weeks they were given the name the Free Live Crew. They also had their own personas. The Truth would be the Suntan Superman, Konnad would become K-Dizzle, and Mold Dogg would be B-Jizzle, Trailer Park Gangster. So much time is dedicated to these segments. They dressed up as hillbillies next and mocked them to their faces. A common trend with this group was that Mold Dogg would be left out because he was white and didn't fit in. They argued over where they could find the meaning of life. It was decided that it could be found in the 3 characters' stereotypical homes, and this is where it starts to improve. I'm not sure if it was the visuals going along with the things they were talking about, but it made the humour way easier to understand, and it's always fun seeing wrestlers away from the arena. So the Suntan Superman took the others to the hood. Mold Dogg was still having trouble fitting in, as he offended the people from the hood. He ended up dressing up as a stereotypical pimp along with a shopping montage to try and fit in with the people from the hood. This seemed to give him the confidence that he needed. Next, the Free Live Crew visited a Mexican restaurant, and this is where Konnad lives. They forced the dog to eat Mexican food, which he didn't like. He got the turds. Ron the Truth got paralytic on Mexican spirits. Again, fun stuff. And they follow up at a trailer park, the home of Mold Dogg. And this is where it gets even more bizarre, if that's possible. First of all, saying that the dog lives in a place like this is bad on TNA, saying they can't afford to pay him very well. There's a weird evil hillbilly man obsessed with a shoe and rubbing himself. The dog is fishing in a filthy river whilst the evil man watches on. Mold Dogg plays a harmonica whilst Konnad dresses up and the evil shoe man is going nuts. Whoever came up with this segment is on every type of drug possible, and I loved it. At this point they hadn't wrestled in 2 months. Well, for some reason they had been on the B-Show Explosion, but nobody even watched that, so it might as well have been nothing. That would eventually change and they'd have to wrestle. They mostly competed in 6-man matches for a bit. They even came up with a catchphrase, let's do the damn thing. TNA was giving them time to grow in popularity, and they're also giving them the wins as they went undefeated for a bit. It won't surprise you to know that as a group, they started to perform their version of rap music. They opened up a September 2003 episode of Impact performing a song called Free Live Crew Getting Rowdy. It was different to their WWE music. And let me just say, Konnad is simply terrible on this, but Dogg and Truth do flow quite nicely together.
Free live crew, we be dropping like bang! Free live crew, we still be getting rowdy. Did you hear that sizzle? Let's go with that, he sigo diciendo. Yo sigo siendo número uno. Rip it up, son, can!
Their performance is interrupted when they're attacked by the New York Connection, and the crowd cheer this attack, if that gives you any indication of how this song went down. Like a turd in the toilet. I appreciate the efforts though. Try and do something different, that's always good. They even tried to use this song as their entrance music. They probably shouldn't have bothered. The issue was that TNA didn't have the depth in their tag division to be making any compelling matchups. There's only so many times you can see the gifted Glenn Gilberti, How Is He Gifted, and his ECW crew. It sucked the first time, so why would we want to keep seeing it? Well, unfortunately they were the tag team champions, and they also ended the Free Live Crew's undefeated streak. Their streak ended to the master of the cab driver slam David Young. It almost seems like a made-up fantasy story. I had to watch it back 3 times to make sure that I'd seen that bit correctly. The man was on a losing streak at the time. After only a month, they realised how much their song sucked and they changed their music. After 4 months, they'd used 2 generic songs and 1 horribly performed rap song. Find a damn song and stick to it. Anyway, after a mixed win-loss record, they won a number 1 contenders match, and it was time to have another shot at the Glenn Gilberti crew. It's noted that Truth seems to be the main man of this group, getting most of their wins. This is good because he's a former heavyweight champion, and he's the young guy with the potential in the group. Unfortunately, this title match ended in a draw after a German suplex where both men had their shoulders on the mat. The belts were held up due to this incident. It didn't matter anyway because the belts were back on the line the following week, in a 6-man tag. And the crew managed to definitively win this time. So it took them 5 months, but they finally did it. Due to this win, the Road Dogg would start using his New Age Outlaw spiel before matches. But instead, it's not the 1, not the 2, but the Free Live Crew. I also want to point out that they could defend the tag belts under the Freebird rules. Any of them could do it. They also thought it'd be a good idea to release a brand new song. Not sure why they thought this was a good idea. Well, it was essentially a remix with better background music, and Konnad mostly shut the hell up and left Truth to do most of the rapping. This was really making the Truth feel like the leader of the crew as he was centre stage. This time the song went a full 3 minutes uninterrupted and was cheered at the end, so an obvious improvement. So it all seemed to be going well, a couple of title defences and the crowd liked these guys. 2 months later, the Free Live Crew lost the titles to 2 security guards. Couldn't make it up. It's like polar opposites in popularity with these gimmicks. Can you imagine the discussion backstage? It's like, you've got these guys who are really entertaining, they make their own music, they dance around, oh, and one of them is a former heavyweight champion. Or we can put the belt on 2 security team members who also have red shirts. Well, it seems like an easy decision for me to make. I can't believe they did this. For some reason, the crew didn't even ask for a tag title rematch. Truth went back to the heavyweight division whilst Dogg and Konnad did random tag matches. It seemed like the plan was always to move Truth back to the heavyweight division, but as you're going to see, they didn't execute it very well. The crew still existed, they just had their own things going on. The others were fully supportive of the Truth's title chase. Makes a change not having a jealousy angle in there. Truth eventually did win the NWA heavyweight title for the 2nd time. Don't get too excited. Slapnuts hit AJ with the guitar, and then Truth finished him off with the diving axe kick. It just didn't feel like a big moment, unfortunately. There was no major celebrations, and the camera spent most of the time focusing on Slapnut's slappable face. Poor Truth. He only appeared once on Impact in a backstage interview before losing the title the next week in a King of the Mountain match to who else but Slapnuts. Truth would have a few more title challenges at Slappy, but he never captured the belt again. So it was back to teaming with the crew. Things get really weird now, because along with the Truth feuding with Slapnuts, the crew was also feuding with Slapnuts' henchmen, the Elite Guard. They were supposed to be mirror images of the Free Live Crew for some reason, except they were soldiers, and they marched to the ring like morons. Onyx mirrored the Truth because he was black, Collier mirrored the Road Dogg because he was white, and Hernandez mirrored Konnad because he was Latin American. Except they were supposed to each be much stronger and better than the crew members. So Truth had gone from feuding with Jarrett to feuding with his Slapnut soldiers. They beat the soldiers on their debut, so what's the point in continuing? The feud with the Elite Guard went on forever and nobody cared. It wasn't like we were getting some insane promo trade-offs or matches. There was some good news though. Towards the end of 2004, the Free Live Crew, Konnad and Dogg did recapture the tag belts. They got more of a celebration than Truth did when he won the heavyweight title. They only held the belts for a month before dropping them straight back to Team Canada. At the start of 2005, Billy Gunn debuted in TNA, although they couldn't use that name. He would be a heel aligned with Jeff Jarrett. This ultimately caused problems for 3LK because Road Dogg refused to fight his friend Billy Gunn, even when he attacked Konnad with a chair. Dogg went as far as no-showing the Hard Justice pay-per-view, forcing the Truth to take his place, just so he could get out of facing Billy Gunn. This caused major friction with Konnad, who stopped trusting the Dogg. The Truth mostly played peacekeeper in the group. It went along like this for about 3 months when finally something new happened. In a tag match, Konnad got so distracted by Billy Gunn that it caused the Dogg to get beaten up badly and not tag out. The Dogg ended up walking out and refused to team with the crew or Billy Gunn again. It seemed everyone wanted the Dogg. Why would they want him? Billy Gunn started going by the name of Kip James as a sign of respect to BG James, the Dogg. Konnad and Truth went as a tag team called the 2 Live Crew. They didn't have much success. After another 3 months, we get to No Surrender 2005. Billy Gunn and Monty Brown were taking on the 2 Live Crew. Brown has been awkwardly shoehorned into this feud, by the way, even though he doesn't have much to do with anything. They just needed a 4th guy. After the match, Billy Gunn told Road Dogg to hit the Truth with a chair, but he wouldn't do it. He was still sitting on the fence. The following month, on the Sacrifice pay-per-view, we got the same match again, except this time the Road Dogg was forced to be the special referee. It was during this match that he finally made a decision and stopped sitting on the fence. He stopped Billy Gunn from using a steel chair and finally attacked Billy with Konnad getting the win. The 2 Live Crew were now the 3 Live Crew once again. Nothing much seems to be happening now. It's a damn shame they didn't go back to the early format of having some wacky comedy skits. I guess there was already too many people on the show and not enough time. The Hawk knows that feeling all too well. Around Bound for Glory 2005, a new angle started where Billy Gunn was now protecting the 3 Live Crew from beatdowns, and he was actually doing the beating of their rivals. He even went as far as protecting Konnad, a man who hated him. On Impact in November, there was a segment where Dogg had Truth, Billy Gunn and Konnad in the ring. He told them how much he loved them all, with the crowd letting out loud "aww" sounds. Konnad made fun of Billy Gunn's past, saying he always attaches himself to people to try and better himself. The Honky Tonk Man, DX, and then he almost married some dude named Chuck Palumbo. Road Dogg didn't care about that and he forced them to have a vote on letting Billy Gunn join the club. Truth was cool with it, but Konnad was still having problems with Billy Gunn. It just made you hate on Konnad because at this point Billy Gunn had done so much to help them out. Eventually Konnad agreed and him and Billy shared a hug and the 4 Live Crew was born. This also meant the ring entrance needed to be edited to not the 1, not the 2, not the 3, but the 4 Live Crew. Dogg's dad told them if the group stuck together they could be the chosen ones in wrestling, whatever the hell that means. Then, you can't make this up. Turning point, I'm going to get to it in a sec. But the 4 Live Crew get a big entrance with R-Truth rapping them to the ring with some new lyrics. They have the audience in the palms of their hands. It's an 8-man tag against Team Canada. But this match would prove to be... I still can't even say it without laughing. This was the end of the team. During the match, Konnad smashed both Billy Gunn and Dogg with a steel chair. He wanted to still be with the Truth, but the Truth was livid at Konnad's actions. And that is how the crew ended. We just sat through 10 months of crew family turmoil. It finally gets resolved, and then it ends straight away. It really makes all that feel like a giant waste of time. What a dumb decision. The Outlaws would go on to become first the James Gang, and then change their name to the Voodoo Kin Mafia, a team that spent the majority of their time doing wacky things to take shots at the WWE. The Truth would be relegated to the lower card before a brief run with Adam Patman Jones. But believe it or not, this was better than anything he'd done in ages. He won the tag belts again before leaving for the WWE. And Konnad would go on to form LAX, actually the following week from the 4 Live Crew breaking up. His body was in worse condition than the other guys. He needed to take some time away from the ring. He would be a manager. He formed the new group by attacking the Dogg's dad. And what did all of this get us? One 6-minute pay-per-view match. Road Dogg, his dad and Billy Gunn versus LAX. This was actually also Konnad's last match in TNA. So that's the crew, a gimmick that started out as comedy, and some of the skits were a welcomed addition to the show. The group seems to be doing a good job of building Ron the Truth up to be a heavyweight champion and the strongest member of the group. But backstage politics and problems in Truth's personal life at the time stopped that from really happening. As a team, they were nothing to write home about in the ring, but they entertained the live crowd and all 3 were good on the microphone. They were larger-than-life personalities, which means they were one of the most memorable things from the early days of TNA. It went downhill when it stopped being fun and started being more about infighting. Just let them do wacky things whilst backing the truth up. That's what they should have been. And if you don't agree with that, I'm going to make your girl grin.